right, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to another BJKU AI Q&A session. Today, I'm going to answer a question that was kind of my own fault. I brought this up because the students were asking about what do I really focus on as an AI business strategist? And I said, listen, there's only 3 things you can focus on. And I never explained what those 3 things were. So today I'm going to explain as an AI business strategist or a consultant or a marketer, whatever it is, there's only 3 pillars that you can really focus on. And I think this is a big mistake that's happening in the AI space here today is that most people can't prove a return on investment on AI or automations. And it's because they just don't really understand what it's good for, what it does, and what it can do and what it can replace. Now, we are not at the point where AI can replace full employees, but it can replace specific tasks. So what that allows you to do is kind of scale up your operations without hiring a whole bunch more people or preventing you from having some of your most talented people work on simple, repetitive projects over and over and over again. Now, what am I saying here? Today, I want you to understand that in the AI space, if you're going to help a business do more business, make more money, save more time, stop mistakes, whatever it is, and help them make more money, right? And therefore make you more money. There's only 3 pillars that you can really focus on. Pillar number 1 is what we call lead capture and conversion. This is what I do in my agency, in my business, in my consultation practice, because I'm a marketer. I've been a marketer for 20 years. I've gotten pretty damn good at it. And in this lead capture and conversion thing, one thing that I use AI for is to help me come up with different hooks, angles, ideas, offers. It does a really good job at editing my poor writing. So when I'm writing sales copy, I write as I would speak. So there's a lot of slang. There's a lot of bad grammar. There's a lot of different things. So AI allows me, even if I'm writing the full advertising, marketing piece, copywriting, long form, short form, doesn't matter, video scripts. AI does a pretty good job at cleaning up my slop. Everyone talks about AI slop. Well, what about Steven's slop, right? So AI does a pretty good job at helping me to clarify offers and have a thinking partner to go back and forth with. In the lead capture and conversion, we also have content and ads, websites, landing pages. Look, you can use Lovable and Manus, and there's several other website builders these days to have a beautiful website done in 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and it does a pretty damn good job. Now, you still need to know your stuff. You can't just say, hey, AI, make me a website and then throw it off to a client. You need to know if that website is any good or not, why it's good. You need to be able to explain what parts of that are important, what parts aren't important. And this also comes down to lead capture systems, CRMs, like whether you're going to use like a ClickFunnels or a Go High Level or a Salesforce or a HubSpot. You kind of need to know your stuff. So if you're going to be an AI strategist specializing in lead capture and conversion, you need to know about these things. So I want to turn this back on you now and just ask a simple question. What do you know more than the average person? Are you really good at marketing and advertising? Is this kind of your pillar? It's mine. I'm not saying it's the best one. I'm not saying it's the worst one. I'm just saying it's one of them. But you have to focus on one of these pillars. The other 2 pillars now come down to product, service, and fulfillment, what I like to call customer experience. So after someone purchases a product or service, what needs to happen? Like, how does the customer get onboarded? What information do you need from them? How do you communicate to them properly? How do you send notifications? And it might sound really simplistic, and it might sound like it's maybe not the sexiest version of this, but I got to tell you, this is insanely valuable because a lot of businesses have bad reviews, poor reviews. They've got a bad customer experience, and then people just don't come back to buy from them again. Not because the product or service is bad, but because their experience was bad. So you can, if you want to, specialize in helping businesses improve their customer experience with support systems and content and asset creation and quality control and experience and communication, all the good stuff. Now, the last one, look, I'll be straightforward with you. I think this is where the money is. Because if you think about it, large companies all need help with their operations. And if it's a large company, they probably got a lot of money and they've got expensive problems that you can fix. So look, this is not my favorite just because I'm not really excited about HR and hiring and firing. Like, I'm not excited about that. So this is tough for me to do. But again, this is where there's a lot of money. So if you think about it realistically, this this over here, the lead caption conversion, you would be kind of like me. I call myself a fractional CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. Here, you would be something like a Chief Customer Support Officer. And here you would be COO, like a Chief Operations Officer. And you're just using AI to help you automate a lot of these features, challenges, problems, bottlenecks, roadblocks, whatever you want to call them. But in the operations space, you got internal workflows. Like how does Sally hand off to Johnny and Johnny hand off to the customer or client, right? How does the team actually communicate to each other through Slack or through anything? How do you automate reporting? How do you capture and explain data inside of a dashboard, inside of a spreadsheet, whatever? How do you handle invoicing? Like, are the invoices automated? And for most businesses, they just aren't. Do you send out reminders if someone forgets to pay or if they're back behind on their payments, whatever? How do you handle that? How do you handle hiring? How do you organize and capture resumes, CVs, job applications? How do you know whether they're a good fit for that job or not? How do you create standard operating procedures? So look, there's 3 pillars. And if you're going to be an AI business strategist, my suggestion, if I can be your coach for a second here, is you gotta pick and focus on one of these pillars. Can you do all of it? Yeah, of course you can. You can do everything. You just can't do everything all at once. So I would highly suggest, especially if you're just starting in this career as an AI specialist or an AI strategist, you pick one of these pillars that you know a little bit about and you start to master what are the automations in these posts and areas and how can I really help a business grow with these things. So listen, I hope this one was helpful for you today. It kind of explains a little bit more of the advanced side of this business, but pick a pillar and get started.